So, I'm sitting here with Neal Adams, comic illustrator for Green Lantern versus Green Arrow. Obviously we're missing one person, but let's face it, this is the more important half.
Of course, it's not Green Lantern versus Green Arrow.
I'm
It's Green Lantern, Green Arrow, co-starring against the bad guys.
My mistake. So,
That's not the first you're going to make, and not the last.
I'm sure it's not, but this is also the first time I've had to deal with a star, and so nobody else will actually point out my mistakes. Anyway, so
we're going to have a good time.
oh, this is going to be fantastic, I can already tell.
Go for it.
Okay, so you actually got to work with on Hal Jordan and Green Arrow, who, as some friends of mine told me, was really not that popular at the time of this coming out. At least that's what they said. I wasn't a huge Green Arrow fan
He
myself.
wasn't even born.
Yeah, I was
Green Lantern and Green Arrow. First of all, Green Arrow wasn't even a character.
Oh, really?
He was a backstory, and we put him into a Brave and Bold book, and he appeared in one story, and he looked great. He looked like Robin Hood of today, as opposed to the way he looked before that book, which he looked like a guy wearing leaves, or a leaf costume.
So Poison Ivy, except with the bow.
Well, that was ugly. It was ugly. It was ugly. How shall I put it? It was a copy of Batman. It was terrible. So anyway, so in that one book, I made him look like Robin Hood of today, with a little beard, the smile, and everybody loved him, but they didn't know what to do with him.
Right.
And Green Lantern was failing in the sales because Gil Kane, the artist who originated it, left and went off and did his own independent stuff, and they put other guys on it who were, how shall I put it, probably not very good. So the sales were plummeting, and I went into the editor and I said, look, I really would love to do Green Lantern before you cancel it. And he said, well, we're going to cancel it pretty soon. I said, well, let me do it. So he said, okay, what if we have Denny write it? That's Denny O'Neal. He did write the whole series from beginning to end.
So the name of the series.
That's right. And as a little adjunct to that, we took that Green Arrow character who had done so well in Brave and Bold and plunked him into the book, which then made the stupid title, Green Lantern, Green Arrow. It was, what are you doing? This is stupid. It's one thing to have a guy named Green Lantern, it's another thing to have a guy named Green Lantern who makes a Green Arrow.
Just a lot of green going on.
Yeah, a lot of green going on here. It was a stupid idea, but it turned out very well, because we actually made the idea of a juxtaposition of a comic book liberal compared to a comic book conservative. Green Lantern was a comic book conservative, not really. Green Arrow was a comic book liberal, not really. But from the moment that they started punching each other, which they did a lot, one was set against the other, and Green Lantern was pointed out to us that Green Lantern was in a lily white world and saved a lot of lily white people from other lily white people, and we didn't seem to be living in the real world. So immediately Green Arrow steps in and he says, what are you doing? You know, you're killing people, you're getting people,
Yes, not the only one to make a mistake.
That's right. You're kicking people out of a tenement so this fat white guy can take advantage of the land and knock it down and get rid of all these people, and they're going to have to go and live outside the city, or they're not going to do well. Here's an 85-year-old woman who has to depend on this kid to support her, and this kid has just punched this fat guy in the front of the story, and he's going to go off to jail now. Guess what? Who's going to support the grandma? Nobody. What are you doing? So anyway, they go up on the roof and they're arguing. Green Lantern's not quite arguing, he's kind of going, duh. And they get up on the roof and there's an old black guy there, and he says, you know, Green Lantern, I hear that you've helped a lot of people with orange skins on another planet, people with purple skins. So did you ever help anybody with black skin? And of course he said, never say no.
Of course it was true. Right.
So suddenly this book in 5 pages became something totally different. It became a reasonably liberal statement of the world we really live in compared to the comic book world. It's one of the reasons that book is so popular, one of the reasons that book is so groundbreaking and remembered by everybody. So when people, tap you on the shoulder, being a person looking around at the time and say, read that, that's why they're doing it. this is what changed everything.
And from the sound of
I'm
it,
actually treating him quite well, aren't I?
yeah, it's actually a little better than I started. But yeah, so I mean, as you said, absolutely groundbreaking. And the way you said it, you and
Neal.
Danny O'Neal came in and basically saved Green Lantern.
We did more than that. We changed the comic book.
Right.
We got involved in the Chicago 7 trial. We got involved in Union Towns. We got involved in going across the country and finding out what America was about. We got involved in intergalactic problems that were really basic human problems. We got involved in politics. We actually made fun of Richard Nixon and Spiro Agnew, who was vice president at the time, by getting by turning the vice president, who was a horrible character. Please, I know this isn't. I'm not on national television or anything, but that Spiro Agnew was a horrible person and became vice president, and so we kind of made fun of him. We made him a caretaker in this school, and he controlled this little girl who controlled everybody else. And we made fun of him. Essentially, what happened was the governor of Florida sent a letter to DC Comics and said, if you insult the vice president again, I'm going to see to it that DC Comics are not distributed in Florida ever again.
Wow.
On the other hand, since we had already done it, we weren't going to do it again, so it pretty much was a moot point. What he didn't realize was, and he didn't actually look closely enough, the superintendent of the school is in fact Spiro Agnew, but the little girl that he controls is Richard Nixon.
That is beautiful.
So I'm afraid what was good about the whole thing was because DC Comics was so non-political.
Right.
Then we could get away with anything. They had no idea what we were doing until, like, the governor of Florida would write a letter. What are you guys doing? Oh, I don't know. Just drawing comic books.
We're just drawing comics.
It's just comics, isn't it? Right? Oh, the governor says he's going to not distribute your comic books if we ever do it again. Well, are we ever going to do it again? No. Fine. So we're good. Let's move on. Let's do drug addiction next. No! Can't do drug addiction. But of course we did.
Of course you did.
We
print over there, but
that's right, we did. I'm afraid we really, blew the lid off of everything. We made probably the first real good black superhero in John Stewart.
right.
Which was an interesting story, and I'll be glad to tell it to you. Would you like to hear that story? So I go to my editor and I say, look, Julia Schwartz, New York liberal Jew. It's important to understand about New York liberal Jews. New York liberal Jews have to be more liberal than anybody.
Right.
If they're not New York liberal Jews, so they have to be very careful with that. So you can't approach them and say, you're bigoted, because if you were to do that, they'd be like, whoa, shoo. So I went to Julie and I said, Julie, look, I'd like to, what happens to Hal Jordan? If something happens to him, he's got to have an assistant. He already has an assistant. Oh, I'm sorry, Julie, I don't read the comics. Who's he got? Well, he's got this guy in the Midwest, Guy Gardner, who is going to take his place if he's got a problem. Guy Gardner. I don't know who that is. There, look at this. He pulls out a comic book and he shows me. It's a blonde gym teacher. Okay, well, I was thinking maybe, if he had a replacement, or let's say they both got messed up, you'd have to have a third replacement. So maybe that would be somebody of a slightly different ethnical background. What are you driving at? Well, how about black or Oriental? I said, Julie, look. This purple guy lands on Earth and he's got this ring and it searches out the most worthy person on Earth. He passes up Bruce Wayne, he passes up Superman, every hero in the Marvel or the DC universe, and he finds Hal Jordan, the test pilot. Okay, I can buy that. Makes sense. Test pilot, pretty great. Okay. Now he's going to go out again, and he's going to find the second most worthy guy on Earth. And he finds a blonde gym teacher from the Midwest. I'm not saying that's not possible, but I mean, Julie,
more people to pick from.
Did you ever watch the Olympics? How often do you see 3 white guys? just saying. Yeah, I don't see 3 white guys. I see, Chinese. I see a black guy. I mean, I rarely ever, maybe in archery. In archery, maybe you see 3 white guys, but normally, probably not. What are you driving at? How about a black Green Lantern? Black? He could be Chinese. If you want to make him Chinese, fine. I don't care. You want to make a black Green Lantern, don't you? I said, yeah. He said, fine. Are you going to draw it? Of course I'm going to draw it. Who knows how to draw black people more than I do? None of our black artists, they all draw black people like they're white people. She says, okay, fine, we'll go ahead and do it. So then I got the script. And I got the script from Denny O'Neal, my friend Denny. And I read the first page, and it's about this unemployed architect, black architect. And he's having a hassle on the streets trying to protect the rights of his fellow blacks from cops who are oppressing them. And I read his name, and his name is Lincoln Washington. Lincoln Washington, really? So I go to Denny, and I go, Denny, Lincoln Washington. I have a feeling that's not the name you chose. And he said, no. That's Julie. Okay, my Jewish liberal friend Julie, let's have a conversation. Julie, you know what you named this character? So I know what I named him, Lincoln Washington. I know lots of guys with names like that. Julie, that's a slave name. We'll get more letters on that name alone than anything we could possibly do. What do you think he ought to be called? A name. Jon Stewart. How would I know he would become a comedian in the late 1980s? How would I know? He said, fine, Jon Stewart. So we did Jon Stewart. That's probably the reason when it was announced that there was going to be a Green Lantern movie, every kid in America thought it was going to be Jon Stewart.
This is very true.
Who is this Hal Jordan guy?
Yeah, that was one thing where I was wondering until I saw, obviously, they cast Ryan Reynolds for the part. My concern was like, Jon Stewart, Hal Jordan, which is it gonna be? So again, I was always a Hal Jordan fan, so I was happy to see him, but it would have been nice to see Jon Stewart in there.
Exactly.
So, but that was a much more in-depth interview than I was expecting from you. So I appreciate that. So there you have it, the guy that not only saved Green Lantern, gave us our first really good black superhero, and did a whole lot more with comics than I can think of anyone else. Now I'm going to go ahead, buy my copy, and have this guy sign it. So, see you guys. So I'm here with another Green Lantern artist, Darryl Banks, artist for Kyle Rayner. So, I was just at the Cincinnati Comic Expo last week, saw you there, and I heard a question that really wanted all these people to get to hear the answer for. How did you feel when you went in to do Green Lantern and you didn't get Hal Jordan?
I was upset at first, and my editor, the editor at the time, Kevin Dooley, he had said, "You're not going to be doing Hal Jordan, but you'll be on the ground floor or something, and you won't regret that you were a part of this." And he was completely correct with that statement.
Okay, that's fantastic, because again, only hearing a snippet of that, all I heard was, I was upset. I was like, okay. But yeah, so Kyle Rayner obviously had a fight alongside Hal Jordan, but I mean, I grew up with more Hal Jordan and then Jon Stewart. So how does Rayner differ from the other Lanterns that we have?
I think because Kyle Rayner wasn't chosen due to worthiness, as how it usually is with the latest rank bearer, I think he becomes like an everyman. It really engages the viewer, and maybe what would they do if they suddenly had that kind of power. So I think that's one of the attractions to his character to this day. I think that people can identify with Kyle Rayner.
So a lot different than, just having the epitome of courage. We have a guy where we're like, oh, that seems to be a lot of superheroes is just the epitome of everything. Especially when you look at people like Superman, who's the epitome of literally everything.
Right.
But actually having a man's man superhero.
And you get to grow with the character over time. Kyle Rayner developed courage. He developed a maturity, and so the reader gets to be in on the ground floor of his development.
All right, well that's fantastic. So, again, not one but two Green Lantern artists here this weekend, which I'm in heaven because again, Green Lantern's favorite superhero right here. But thank you very much for your time, sir.
All right.
So let's see what else there is to see here. Ohio's 501st Legion, Vader's Hand, if memory serves, who is now offering free coloring pages. Note, if you ever think these are not the droids you're looking for, this will be your job.
I'm laughing more than anybody. I've got that Seth MacFarlane t-shirt of a big old fat Superman with the S on it. I wear it. I'm not going to lie. I don't wear it in public because...
I just can't think past me. Drawings, I've seen cartoons, but you mean in the movies? No, I can't think of it. Oh yeah. You've never heard of the movie, or you've never heard of the car? You've never heard of the movie? And Lord, that's a science fiction.
You think I'm not going to make fun of him? That's what's going to happen here.
This is fantastic.
Just so you know.